guys, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to all those who are new. Today I'm going to be sharing my June wrap-up and my July TBR. So if you haven't already, subscribe, and let's go ahead and get started. So June, I actually didn't do a lot of reading. I kind of took a break. I've been working on my book, Red Siren 2. And if you haven't read the first one, which is Red Siren, and it's right back there, it's a young adult novel that is a fantasy based off of the Little Mermaid. So I recommend it. But I've been doing a lot of revisions for that book. I'm on a deadline right now that's due at the end of the week, so I haven't been filming, reading, anything except doing revisions. So go ahead and pick that up. The link is in the description box below. It is at top 500 on Amazon, so thank you guys so much for all your love and support, and I hope you guys enjoy the book. There might be a book tour coming. I'll give you guys all the updates on that, as well as the link to my website, which you can get all that information at as well. So I will have all those in the description box below. But let's go ahead and get into what I read, which were a lot of shorter stories and a lot of fantasy and just kind of classics. So the very first book I read was this one, and it's Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places You Go, and this was because Robin Sharma recommended it to me. I have read this before, everyone has, and I don't know, I just thought it was very inspiring. You know, when you read it as a kid, you just kind of see it as a fun little book, and then you read it as an adult, and you kind of realize the more deeper meaning to it. And this one was all about how in life you will have highs and you'll have lows, but you'll get out of those, and that rhymed. And yeah, so I just really enjoyed this book. It's quite short, everyone's read it, but again, it is something that I read this month. The next book is another children's book, and it is Baba Yaga and Vasilisa the Brave. So there's a couple different editions of Vasilisa the Beautiful or Vasilisa the Brave. I got this one. It's a kid's novel. It is stunning. It's by my favorite illustrator, K.Y. Craft. There's some pretty terrifying images in this, so don't think that it's lovely. But I actually did not grow up with the story of Baba Yaga. I did not know about her until I was a young adult, so I went ahead and picked this up because I have this whole book on Baba Yaga, but I didn't have Vasilisa the Brave or the Beautiful, so I wanted to see what those were, and it was definitely a different take on Baba Yaga than I had read, and I really enjoyed it. So highly recommend. It's not that much money. I think it was under $20, so I got it on Amazon, and I really enjoyed it. I do want to get Vasilisa the Beautiful though, because I thought it was going to be the same book, but just a different title, but it's not. It goes much more into detail about her mother and her mother's death and how she got her little doll, so I definitely want to be picking that one up. The next story I read is, again, what I wanted to read, and it was the fairy tales from around the world, and I read Aladdin. So I had read Aladdin before. It was one of the very first ones I read years ago when I got this book, but I was going to skip it, and I kind of just told myself, no, don't skip it. Why? You haven't read it in 2-3 years, so just go ahead and reread it. You can reread anything that you want. It doesn't mean once you read it, you can't ever read it again. So I went ahead and did it, and I'm so happy that I read it again, because I kind of forgot about it. I kind of forgot the beginning of it and how Aladdin gets the lamp and all that. And then I also remember me being exhausted, so I really wasn't taking in the story as well as I should have been. So I'm happy I reread that, and now it's kind of more fresh in my mind, and I'm really happy. So the next story I have to read is Beauty and the Beast, and I have not read Beauty and the Beast, so I'm very excited. I'm on page 23 of over 500. But you know, if you guys are a follower of mine, I am trying to do one short story a month from this book because I want to get more well versed in fairy tales and folklore. I was not really brought up with a lot of fairy tales and folk tale. I read more like Junie B. Jones and The Magic Tree House, and I read kind of those kind of books. But not, I didn't really read a lot of like actual fairy tales. So my favorite one would have to be The Princess and the Pea, and I don't know if this one has that. Let's see. I don't know if that's in this book, but I have a couple of different fairy tale books. On my shelf I have Hans Christian Andersen, I have the Red Fairy book, the Blue Fairy book. I have a couple of them because this one has a couple from there's a couple from the Blue Fairy book, the Red Fairy book, the Green Fairy book, but it doesn't have the whole collections of all the books. So I get a little taste of each book, which I really, really appreciate it. But as for right now, I am trying to do one story a month, and I enjoyed it so much last time that I think I might up it to 2. I've been really, really enjoying fairy tales, so yeah. The next book I'm going to say that I read, but I haven't finished it quite yet. I have about a week before this video goes live, and I wanted to film it because I have that deadline, and I didn't think that I would be filming any videos for a little bit. So I wanted to go ahead and chuck this in there, but as of right now, I'm not finished with it. It is the Lloyd Alexander, The Black Cauldron, and I finally got it, you guys. I think I did a haul where I explained like how I got this, and I could not find it for the longest time, and I love this series, so I highly recommend it. It's been amazing, and it's just been so much fun. I am at page like 177, and it only has like under 200 pages, so I'm about right there in it, and I can probably finish it in a day. If I didn't have the deadline today, I would just be over there curled up in a chair with a hot cup of tea, which I have right here, reading this book. But as of right now, I have that deadline and I need to focus on it, but it has been a book I've been reading right before bed if I have enough energy. So, highly recommend this. 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into my TBR of next month. I have not been in the reading funk lately, so I don't know. My TBR is not as big as it would be for some bigger YouTubers. It's just not. I'm not a booktuber full time. I'm more of a mood reader. So that plays into account a lot. If I want to read, I will. If I don't, I won't. So I don't like to put too much on my TBR, but if I end up reading a lot more, then that's also a success. But anyway, I am going to read 2 stories from fairy tales from around the world. So I'm going to read Beauty and the Beast and whatever is after that. I have a couple of books on their way to me right now. I have a lot of books, a lot of fairy tales that I plan to be reading. I just don't know all of them off the top of my head. I know it's The Minipiz from Ronald Dahl, and then I have The Fortune Tellers by my favorite author at the moment, which is Alexander Lloyd, who wrote the Black Cauldron series, and then The Gospel According to Coco Chanel I thought would be interesting. So I have a couple books on the way to me that I'm going to be reading, but I do want to do 2 out of that book, and then I want to maybe start this, and it's Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela, and I don't know, I just, it's going to make me cry. This book is going to make me cry. He did not have an easy life, and the things that were done to him were awful. And I don't know much about him. I know that he was like a criminal, but the things that were done to him in prison, you guys, like, I can't get over it. And especially in this time, this day and age, where, you know, we're having such a movement I did want to kind of become a little bit more educated on my half, and he's such an inspirational man that I just really wanted to read it. And it's a beast of a book, but I don't think it's going to be that long because the text is kind of big. And I just think that we could learn a lot of lessons from Nelson right now, because I think what happened was when he was in prison, the guards were awful to him. Awful. Like, I won't even say what happened. But then once he became president, he invited them to dinner. And I think that can really, really, really kind of open your eyes to not holding hatred in your heart for anyone. And I think it's very Jesus-like, not to be religious, but I'm just saying, I think that's a huge message that I think that we need to be self-evaluating, especially because some of the videos I've seen of these people just being full of hate and full of just evil. It's not, it makes me sad that people are like that out there. And so I think that, you need to look inside yourself and maybe learn some lessons. Anyway, I'm not going to get into politics, but, well, it's not politics, but anyway, I do want to read this book, and I hope that it is everything I dream. I'm going to cry so hard. It might be a 2-month book, because if, I'm going to start crying now. If I cry or it makes me sad, like, I'm not going to want to read it, and I'm going to need a couple days to recover, and it might turn into weeks, so it might be more of a couple months than a 1-month book. But as soon as I'm done with it, I will let you guys know. But that is the end of my TBR, because I have so many books to read. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, buy my book, and I'll see you guys in my next video, and I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe. So, yeah, bye! Okay, so I just realized this. I know that, this is, gonna be an edit or whatever, but I realized I did read a little bit more than I said, because I had this propping up my... Ooh, that's kinda... I feel like that adds a little bit of lighting. I read this. So, this was propping up my microphone to get it a little bit closer to my mouth. But, it's Russian folk epics, and, the anthology of Russian folk epics. And it was funny because, one night I was reading this book, and it's a lot of poems. It's a lot of epics. And, annotating epics and things like that. It's basically a textbook. But I thought I could learn so much from it, so I always like to educate myself on folk epics and things that I don't know, so I've been reading this lately. And it was funny because I was texting my friend when I was reading this one night, and they were like, so what are you reading? I had, they said, what are you doing? I said, reading. They're like, what book? Because they're an avid reader too. And I said this, and he was like, that is so random. And I was like, yeah, it's random. Probably not something on everyone's shelf, but it is on mine. But anyway, I read the first 2 poems of this. I read, oh god, I'm not gonna be able to say these. Volk, Volkh. This, I'm not gonna be able to say that. It's like BSESLY. I don't know. And then Salvatore. I don't know. I'll put what they actually spell in the not description, but right here on the screen. But I read those 2, and I thought they were really, really interesting. But what I like the most about this book is, give me a second. So here is the very first page of the book, and it says Volk, whatever his last name is. And it's basically the, like, narrator kind of just describing what happens in the poem, so you kind of get a look at what it actually means and what's actually going on, and it kind of breaks it down in that way. Where it also will say, like, this was the region they're in, this, you know, like, say a duck was not a duck. A duck is a leaf. I don't know. But basically, it kind of breaks it down for you in a manner that I think is more educational than just reading it and not understanding it. You kind of get a little bit more of some backstory. So I read 2 of these, and I do actually want to probably keep reading these. It's not on my TBR for this month, but if I feel like reading it, I will. They're not very long, but they're just kind of hard to understand sometimes, so yeah. But anyway, I'll go now. Bye!